What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to today's video. I'm going to be looking at the incident yesterday involving Pascal Gross and Dominic Szoboszlai and giving you my reasoning why I think that should have resulted in a red card. Now, of course, I want to know your thoughts, so do let me know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video, and if you haven't hit the subscribe button, we would certainly love you to do so. So let me start off with one thing. I have no issue with De Zerbi, with Brighton. In fact, fair play to De Zerbi for how he handled Alexis McAllister after the game. You may or may not be aware, but he put his arm around Alexis McAllister, brought him over to those Brighton fans inside the Amex, and they gave him a hearty round of applause and a thank you for the work he done with them. So absolutely top notch and fair play to De Zerbi and Brighton for that. They certainly deserve credit. But my issue here isn't with Brighton, with their fans, or with the result of the game. If you look at it in its entirety and we remove this incident, was a draw a fair result on the balance of play? I think so. I think Jurgen thought so as well. So look, going and getting a point at Brighton, no shame in that. But I still feel really worked up about this incident. And today, when I woke up, the first thing I did was go on to Sky, look at the app, and what's the very top story? What are they pushing more than any other story this weekend? You've got it. Ref Watch, and it's the same every single Monday. We are once again in a world where the referees are at the centre of attention of everything and the play isn't being spoken about. Sky aren't pushing the great result for Arsenal at the top of all the agenda. No, it's fume, because fume sells. So what I'm going to do is give you my interpretation of the incident yesterday, look at the double jeopardy law, and ask what you guys think should have happened. So let's have a look at the incident then. Dominic Szoboszlai was in the penalty area, and he was pulled back by the back of his collar and dragged to the ground by Pascal Gross. The referee awarded a penalty, and initially we're all just excited, right? We know Mo has a chance now to score, penalty's been awarded, and sometimes inside of all of that, inside of that adrenaline, we can lose sight of the other incidents, and that's what the referees are there for, to make sure that every step of this process is ticked along. So was it a penalty? Yes, grand, penalty confirmed. But then after that, you have to wonder, why was there no booking or no red card for Pascal Gross? Initially, full disclosure, I thought that the double jeopardy law prevented Pascal Gross from being sent off, but it seems I was very wrong on that, and I will explain why in a moment. So the penalty was given and there was no yellow. And watch my watch along yesterday, I very quickly copped on to the fact that there was no card given and start questioning why Anthony Taylor hadn't booked at least Pascal Gross. So then I was told a little bit later on that James Pearce and David Lynch, two journalists that cover the Liverpool patch, put out tweets suggesting that Pascal Gross should have not been booked but sent off. That then made me have a look at the double jeopardy law, and I'm going to read it out to you guys now, and then we'll work backwards from there. So the double jeopardy law states, where a player commits an offence against an opponent within their own penalty area, which denies an opponent an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, and the referee awards a penalty kick, the offender is cautioned if the offence was an attempt to play the ball. So, was it an attempt to play the ball by Pascal Gross? Absolutely not. He went nowhere near the ball, grabbed him by the back of the collar and dragged him back. We continue. So if it was an offence to play the ball. In all other circumstances, e.g. holding, pulling, pushing, no possible playing of the ball, etc., the offending player must be sent off. Now, what the PGMOL and what the VAR are hiding behind from yesterday is that in their warped interpretation of this scenario, Dominic Szoboszlai wasn't in an obvious goal-scoring position. What? The ball had ran across the front of his body. All he needed to take was 2 steps to his left-hand side, and that ball would have been past the goalkeeper, and he scores. It was him and the keeper, and yes, there were defenders getting back, but he was getting there before anybody, and it was blatant that he was going to score. Now here's where I get really frustrated. Virgil van Dijk was of course sent off for a foul in Alexander Isak against Newcastle. That happened outside the penalty area, but the part that I want you to just get your focus on here is he was sent off because the VAR and the referee deemed that Virgil van Dijk denied Alexander Isak a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity. He was outside the box heading to the left side of the penalty area, and I agree that he was going to be in a goal scoring place. I would totally agree with that. I've no issues around that red card. But again, this week it's Liverpool. We're 8 yards out inside the penalty area. Our player's horse collared, grabbed by the back of the shirt, dragged back, and he would have had a tap in. But yeah, no booking and no red card. Now look, it's very easy for opposition fans and people to say to me, Craig, you're just losing the plot, you're looking for any old excuse. I'm not. I'm looking for the laws of the game to be actually interpreted properly and for us to get justice in these results. Because I've no interest in going in on Brighton or De Zerbi or anybody else. But 1 week on from an absolute fiasco at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and here we are again seeing Liverpool shafted. And there's no big furore this week. There's no big write-up on Sky about it. It's just the Liverpool side, the Liverpool fans, the Liverpool journalists once again trying to push for the rules to be implemented. And it is nonsensical. I don't know in what world that was not a goal-scoring opportunity for Dominic Szoboszlai. He was 6 or 8 yards out. It is absolutely farcical. And as I mentioned a moment ago, once again this week, we're not hearing about the players. We're not hearing about Mohamed Salah's brace. We're not hearing about the comeback from Brighton after being 1-0 ahead, then 2-1 down. We're not hearing about a great game of football. We're not hearing about the Arsenal-Manchester City game. We're hearing about ref watch. We're hearing about the incidents that the little man in the middle that has far too much attention on them is overriding all the good stuff from the actual people that are there to entertain the players. And it needs to stop. Now this weekend, Arsenal were shafted. Now thankfully for Arsenal and their fans, and for I think football in general, Arsenal went and beat Manchester City. So Kovacic not being sent off didn't really screw Arsenal over, but it very, 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 very easily could have. And that's a situation where we had Michael Oliver refereeing a game featuring Arsenal and Manchester City, who are of course owned by Abu Dhabi. Now where was Michael Oliver refereeing? I believe the 29th of September, 2 weeks prior. That's right, he was over in Abu Dhabi refereeing a game of football over there. Why? How can the PGMOL allow that to happen? Now, I'm not suggesting that Michael Oliver has done anything wrong, but what I am saying is, purely from an optics perspective, it doesn't look great when you've got one club that are very heavily influenced, let's say, by the United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi, and then you have an official who's officiating their game 2 weeks later. If nothing else, it's going to think, we're all human here, right? You're going to think to yourself, if you're Michael Oliver, well, I'm getting a nice few bob over there, getting a few quid over there for refereeing, so, you know, yeah, don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. And again, it's optics. I'm not suggesting that Michael Oliver's corrupt at all. He's actually a pretty good referee, in my opinion, one of the best in the Premier League. But from an optics perspective, the Premier League should not be allowing this to happen. The FA should not be allowing this to happen. And it's just pathetic. So this week, I feel aggrieved again as a Liverpool fan to sit here and not complaining about the outcome of a game, because the game played out and it is what it is. But I can't help but feel once again what might have been. Liverpool Football Club, my friends, have now had 1 point from 6. So that is basically 5 points thrown away. And in both of those games, it could have been very, very different had the referees done their actual job. Or at least been as stringent, shall I say, as they were towards us in other weeks where we've had 4 red cards this season, having won the Premier League's Fair Play Award for 5 seasons. Something doesn't add up here. Something doesn't smell right. And I don't like it. So I want to know your thoughts. Do you agree with me about yesterday? Do you agree with me overall that we just have to take this now, that we've dropped 5 points and the referees have had a massive impact on that? It doesn't feel right to me. If we lose on the pitch to a better team, no problem. But when the referees are making our job harder, the manager's job harder, it kind of just sticks in your throat a little bit. So that's my take on this, my friends, but it is now over to you. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, we look forward to reading them, and we'll catch up with you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.